Hey folks, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So today we finally trying to wrap up part two of The Obstacle is the Way, The Timeless Art of Turning Trials into Triumphs by Ryan Holiday. Part two, here we go.
Let's do it. So we already talked about part one, and that was I can't imagine, right? And that was turning your I can't imagines into I can't imagines, right?
We have established.
Yeah, right. Yes, correct. But this particular reflection, I actually thought I didn't want to write two reflections for this one, but something kept sticking in my brain that I could not get out of it. And so I had to write about it. So when you're thinking about something and it's on your mind and you're learning, put it out there, right? So I did a second part reflection on this one. And the title is What Will Be Revealed When You Are Sliced Open. We kind of touched on this in the first one. I thought I would have been remiss if I did not spend time talking about Ryan Holiday, the author, in general. Ryan is just like a perfect example of somebody out there who's just living his values and his purpose, and he's on a mission, and he's fully engaged in the world. Whether he knows it or not, is an honorary Clubany member. He is exactly the people that we want to be around, and people that are purpose-driven, that understand their learners. Like a lot of the values that you and I, the club is based off of, Ryan would be a 12 out of 10 on a cultural fit for what we're trying to do in general. And you could tell it in his writing because he referenced so many different books in The Obstacle is the Way about sources that were of inspiration for him and lessons that he learned and how he's applying that to his own thought and ideology and thought process and yada, 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 right? So very similar to what we're doing right here, right? We're talking about books and we're learning stuff and we're sharing how we interpret this and how it's informing our view on life. Well, Ryan, I love audiobooks. I did this one as an audiobook. And there was a bonus interview with Tim Ferriss that interviewed Ryan Holiday at the end of this. And they just did a question and answer session. I guess Tim Ferriss is a mentor of Ryan Holiday's. I've never actually read a Tim Ferriss book, even though I've heard his name a million times. But have you read a Tim Ferriss book?
5 Hour Work Week.
Yeah, that's the guy, right? The 5 Hour Work Week guy.
Yep.
So I don't know much about Tim in general, but I know that he's been brought up many times in many different authors that I've consumed as somebody that was an inspirational person, and maybe I should read this book. I haven't gone down the Tim Ferriss path yet at this point in time. So Ryan apparently is a mentee of Tim's. I guess they met when Ryan was really young, maybe early in college, and he asked him, how can I learn from you? It help you research. And for whatever reason, they hit it off, and he allowed Ryan to help him with some of his work. And in turn, they've stayed connected, and he's helped him grow. And Ryan has obviously grown into his own thing himself, and he's a really successful author now himself. So Tim was doing this interview with Ryan. Anyway, so the book, like I said, he mentioned so many different sources in the book, and I was already getting a lot of ideas of things that I wanted to go check out, and I was saving things on my Audible wish list or my Amazon wish list. And then they're doing this interview afterwards, and I learned way more about Ryan Holiday, the author, obviously just through this conversation. This guy is like a rabid learner, and he doesn't just learn to put another book trophy on his shelf or something like that. He is exactly like what we're doing. He just is like, I'm curious about stuff. I want to know more. I have a mission and a lens in life and values that I want to go explore. And he just keeps churning out book after book. Wherever he goes, he reads, he does whatever. This isn't to say that this is right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, this is why I feel so connected personally to Ryan Holiday as he's talking more and more about this stuff. So in this bonus audio section, I learned more about Ryan's life, the stuff that he does every single day. He does ice baths. He's a runner. He does all, it was almost like Jesus Christ. Like, he's absolutely, I was having a bromance just listening to this guy and talking about what he does in his life. And also in this audio interview with Tim, he shared so many other books that he's been reading and learning in his life that have inspired him, and lessons that he's learned and how he's applied it to other stuff that he does. And he just kept going on and on about different books. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like eating this up. Like, I got to save this one. I bought this one. I saved this one. They were all really interesting books. My Audible library and my wish list was growing, listening to this 1 hour or 45-minute interview with Ryan and Tim. And during that interview, he mentioned on his website, ryanholiday.net, this reading list thing, right? I somehow stumbled my way onto here. And he has all these different books that he recommends, and he categorizes them into fiction, nonfiction, whatever, some other examples. And he has like a little blurb about what he learned and what he liked about it. It's not just like, hey, here's this reading list, it's going to change your life, or here's some silver bullet or whatever. It's like, here's just a book. Here's something I learned. If you like it, go after it. If you don't, I don't really give a shit. But I'm just sharing what I know. He's doing what we talked about in the hero's journey, right? He's just doing his best to help other people to become explorers like himself and be a rabid learners. And then he starts to categorize all these things into, once you get through his favorite reads of 43 books about war that every man should read, or 24 books to hone your strategic mind, or 24 fiction books that could change your life. And he just starts to connect them all together, right? Like we do this with the core values quest, and with, there's a lot of times when people ask me for recommendations, I ask them, what do you want? Like, it's like Ryan's a personal library, like he's like, well, you tell me, like, what are you curious about? Oh, I'd love to learn more about, how the human body works. Oh, okay, well, great. Well, here's 10 books. Right, exactly. It's like he goes into his own little memory palace, and he's like, oh, here you go. Here's some really good books that I personally learned from, and if you can gain from it, go for it. He's like your personal Blockbuster video guy. You just walk in and you're like, I don't know what I want to see. And they're like, what are you emotionally in the mood for? And they just ask you questions, and then they, spin out, we should go check out this video, and this video, and you're like, this is great.
Yeah, live sommelier.
Exactly. This is exactly what it is. This is just all the books that he read, the very best books that he read in 2015, right? Howard Hughes, His Life in Madness, The Score Takes Care of Itself by Bill Walsh. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just a perfect, like, if you want some recommendations from somebody that's like a trusted source, that cares. Here's the thing, is like, we talked about this with like Soul in the Game many a times before in the past, like Ryan has his soul in the game. And at one point in time in the book, this is where the reflection title comes in. He says, shared a quote in The Obstacle is the way, like, what would be revealed when you're sliced open, right? Well, after reading this book, after listening to Ryan, after investigating his life and on this stuff, I know exactly what would be revealed when Ryan, I'm pretty confident, like, we're all going to get sliced open at some point in time in our life, right? Like, you and I both were sliced open before we met in our own unique ways, right? And that's when the real shit, that's who you are, comes out. That's when your character comes out, when you start to see your elephant just does whatever your elephant does, right? And like, you can't control that, but you can train it. You can do your best to train your elephant, and you can try to simulate this stuff.
You can train. There's certain thing. There is a limit to what you can train the elephant to do.
Right.
But majority of the time, elephants are fixed based on its genetic makeup.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like, it made me think about Amelia, like all this journey usually does. But like, I saw what was revealed when she was sliced open, and she was one of the most purpose-driven people that will ever come across, I mean, in my entire life. And it's just, when you see people like Ryan, and you see people like Amelia, and you see them living their life, and it's just like this magnetic draw that pulls you in,
I think the elephant, majority of its traits and character, you cannot change. Right. The reason why I think you and I can relate to some of the emotions that evoke when you look at Amelia's life, and even Ryan's life, what he does, we can relate to, because deep down, those genes that we have in common, it's there. That's why we can relate to. Hey, we can say, well, that evokes an emotion with me, and that gets me, kind of like really energized to make something, to change something that wakes us up in a way.
Right.
Because if you don't have the gene, there's no way you can relate. There's no way you can say, well, yeah, I'm going to wake up. How would you connect to that kind of feelings or emotions?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's always there. We've talked about this before too. I don't think that I'm a different human being after. I'm still the same person. I just know who I am now better.
You are more Chris today than the Chris before.
I'm Chris on purpose. Like, I mean, it's.
No, you are the true Chris that was put on earth for that purpose. It's just that when you were born, like when Amelia was born, you have a purpose and you are untainted. And then over many years, you have been conditioned to become something that is not Chris.
Or you fight it.
Well, the thing is, that's what I'm saying is, let's say you were born, right? I put an experiment. You were born in one environment, and then another parallel universe, you were born in a different environment. You turn out completely different. Why is that? It's because your environment changes you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the covering. It's like you're being covered in layers of certain things. You are looking for the grits and the grinds and the panic attacks. And why do you have panic attacks? I mean, you tell me why you have a panic attack. Because you are forging down a path that your elephant say, I this path.
Right.
That's why I have a panic attack. So it's not the Chris. When I say Chris, meaning the Chris that, I don't know what you want to say, but God put you down here for a certain reason. Like when Amelia came to Earth, right? She is Amelia. She is not Amelia being conditioned or being wrapped in environment, expectations of whatnot. You, on the other hand, when you were born, you were just like Amelia. But over time, you're being covered in this crust of society, norms and conditions and dogma, whatever it is. It just completely wraps you over. And that's like, hey, there's Chris inside of this thing somewhere, but the whole thing isn't Chris. So whenever the atomic bomb hits, the only thing you're doing is you're just peeling off the layers that was encrusted on this shell.
Right.
So you basically not changing who you are, you're just unveiling who you are. Because like for me, that's why I commented in the beginning.
Yeah, I agree.
When you have a certain genetic trait, your elephant do not change. There is a certain range that allows you to make modifications and change. It's just like a lever where you say, hey, I go from 0 levels, 8 level, 10 level, whatever. Yeah, there's a lever of things you can modify and change the input. But majority of your trait do not change. You can pretend to change, but it isn't going to change. You should be a manager, right? I said, yeah, I like to be a manager, right? But I fucking hate my job until the point where I say, I don't fucking care anymore. So I'm saying, well, I don't want to be a leader. Oh, I feel good now. Because the thing is as long as I fool myself into thinking that's what I want, then I say, well, that's what I want. I want to be the best manager, the best leader that the world has ever seen. But on my deathbed, when nothing else matters, right? Well, that is not worth the time. Because on my deathbed, I say, well, I don't want to be a leader anymore. I want to do something. But if you are who you really are, even on your deathbed, you say, well, I'd like to do a little bit more leadership. Then that's who you are. Because if you say, you know, in the last minute, okay, I want to take a break. I don't want to do leadership anymore. That's not who you are. You just pretending that's who you are, and you lie to yourself enough that you hold on to that lies. And to me, that is what encrusts us.
I agree.
You know, you basically wash yourself out of all this mud, encrusted, dry, whatever it is, out of yourself, and you're revealing yourself to people. Because because when you get to the point where the thing is, you have to understand that, you know, let's say when we first meet people, we put on this public appearance. Hey, I'm this nice person. I'm not angry, blah, blah, blah. But it is hard to do that. But when you and I know each other long enough, you know me enough that I tell you straight, I don't worry about hurting your feeling. You know what I mean? Because I can tell you straight. And to me, that is, I'm at peace at that. That's who I am. That's a person who I am. When you meet somebody, you tread lightly to make sure that you don't offend them.
First one is, I've tried in the past, I've told you this before, where I've tried to shut up, where I just like literally just am like, okay, you're talking too much. Just shut the fuck up. Like for the next 2 days, try to not talk, you know, and it never works. Like people think that there's something, people think that I'm like something's wrong with me or something, like literally something's wrong. Secondly, you made me think about zooming forward to like my deathbed, where I'm like, I'm going to try to be really stoic. You know, I'm like, that's not going to be me. I'm going to be bitching all the way in to the finish line, where I'm going to be like, this motherfucking thing IV is a motherfucking, like, you know, I'll just be cussing, saying stupid shit.
Like, and you're going to leave with a smile on your face.
I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to be Mr. Stoicism, you know, or something like that, like Ryan Holiday is. That's not who I am.
Stoicism is the way to go. Can't sustain. You gotta be who you are. Otherwise, you cannot continue to do that. Eventually, it's gonna get exhaustive. And the point is, what's the point of enduring something for somebody else's sake? Why are you being stoic?
Said it with a good.
There are certain. So the thing is, we live in today's society. We live for other people. Because I buy a brand new house, I buy a car, right? Why am I buying a car? It's because fucking neighbor bought a car, because my friend makes a car. My wife say, hey,
a Tesla,
my sister, brother-in-law, co-worker has a Tesla. Why don't you have a Tesla? So why do I fucking buy a Tesla? It is for someone else. It's not for me. And to me, that's exhaustive. I cannot continue to do this.
It wasn't my car, though.
A public face and a private face, meaning a public demeanor and a private.
Well,
the public one, you are reserved, right? You reserve, and you don't. And the thing is, you think about it, it's exhaustive to be going in public, especially for me, because I'm an introvert. I hate to pretend. So to pretend, it takes a lot of energy. Even for you, Chris, you love to talk to people, but when you talk to people that you don't know too much, right? You have to watch what you say.
Or when I'm talking about shit that I don't care about, like I'm a huge asshole. Like,
the thing is, whenever you get to the meeting the first people, whatever comes to your mind.
I want to say shut the fuck up because
you have to read the room and
radical
assess the
candor,
situation.
Radical candor.
Even fucking radical candor is like, well,
I know.
All right. But I'm saying is you doing something that's not natural. So whenever you do that, I'm asking you, if you had to do that all the fucking time, how long can you keep it up?
Oh, I mean, until I have a breakdown.
You can talk to me, or you talk to Blake, or somebody who you really know well, or your friend, you can say whatever you want, and whatever comes to your mind, you can say, right. Hey, you can be a doofus, and people are gonna laugh at you, but that's because we are so comfortable with ourselves and with the people that we trust. And to me, that's liberating, and that takes no energy. It's actually energizing for us. But you have to pretend in the public demeanor. It is exhausting. I can't. For me, I have a very low tolerance, so I can't keep up too long of that appearance. It's going to get to the point where you're gonna say, "Well, I can't take this anymore. I have to go back to my hotel, my room, whatever, and just not pretend to care about something I don't care about."
I can't do it. I mean, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's exactly what you said. It's just how much fatigue are you want to put up with, until you break down.
All the time, you're gonna have to keep like a little monitor to check on yourself. Hey, don't say anything stupid. Don't say anything offensive, right? You know what I mean? It's like you have to watch, and that guy that's watching it needs to be fed with some kind of energy, right? Eventually, you run out of things to feed him. To watch, to have him watch you and then remind you, hey, Chris, don't be a fucking asshole, right? But when you with me, you can be whatever. You don't need this guy, right? You say whatever comes to your mind, and who give a shit? And the thing is, no one does. But that's the thing is, when you truly who you are, it feels good.
It does. It just feels natural. It feels aligned. It feels like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and it feels effortless.
Are you who you are? Are you just like, basically, I'm seeing this crust, and as large you are, it's something different inside.
Right. And what comes out of that is usually exactly who you are.
You know how people like breaded chicken and fry them up? You think about yourself being breaded with covered with something and just marinated sauce or garlic Parmesan or whatever.
It's a really good visual, honestly.
Right?
It also reminds me of like my tennis game. Like I hate the way that I feel. I hate the way that I feel that other people might see me as, because I'm so competitive. When talk about getting sliced open, like when you're in the heat of battle or a competition or something like that with somebody, like you don't have time to think. Your elephant just comes out. If you're an aggressive person, you're an aggressive person. If you're an emotional person, if you're a lost individual, if you're somebody that breaks down and gets angry all the time, if you're talk about, a couple of reflections down the road from this one is, this book that I read called Levels of the Game by John McPhee. There was a reflection we're going to talk about in like two sometime this week. It'll be, tennis is a battle of characters. I mean, really is what it is. It's a battle of your elephant. Like it just comes out. Whoever you are, you get sliced open all the time on a tennis court, and it just comes out. So like when I'm on a tennis court, I might yell and get frustrated and fight, but I'm a fucking fighter. I will not give up. Like I will never quit when I'm out there playing. Like it doesn't matter. You think you have me down, I'm going to keep battling. You may have me down, but I'm still going to keep fucking battling. I don't care how frustrated I feel. It is a big deal to me. Like I want to win. I want to be my best that I can be, right? And I'm a perfectionist, like in that regard. I'm not trying to be perfect with every shot, but I'm like, I want to be able to do what I know that I can do, and if I can't do that, then I get really frustrated about it, right? So my point being is like tennis is a perfect example of like what gets, who like Novak Djokovic is somebody that he's a dick. I mean, like, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. He's just an asshole. He is a laser locked in focused asshole. So much so that he beat a 20-year-old from the US in the semifinals of the US Open. His name's Ben Shelton. He's the first year out of school. Like he was a college student last year, and he won the national title at Florida for the Florida Gators as the number one singles player for them. And obviously he's a really talented player, but he's really young and immature. He's nowhere near like Carlos Alcaraz is also 20, but he's like, light years ahead of like he's already plays like he's 35 or something like that. Ben Shelton plays like a 20-year-old, and he made it to the semifinals of the US Open. And he's playing Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic beats him, and Ben has been doing this stupid little childish thing. This is what he does, right? And he likes to egg on the crowd. I don't know. Like maybe he's a showboat. Anyway, when Ben gets sliced open, he kept doing this stupid little, like after he would beat somebody, he would go call him and he would hang up, right? Like as soon as he would win this last point, he'd be like, and walk into the net and he's like, hang up. So Novak, who's won 24 major titles, the most of all time, playing a kid in his first long run, extended run in the Grand Slams. Novak beats him pretty easily in the semifinals. And as he's walking to the net, he goes, like, to the kid. And I'm like, man, like, there's no, I mean, you want to talk about, like, what gets revealed when you're sliced open? When that guy gets sliced open, it's nothing but, like, I'm going to kill you. I don't, like, that guy is a stone cold assassin. There is no feeling or remorse. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, by the way, to be crystal clear. All I'm saying is this is what happens when you get sliced open. I'm sure if you ask Novak away from the court, do you want to treat a 20-year-old kid? What if that was your son, Novak? Would you treat your son like that? And he would go,
And if you really, yeah, I'll treat my son like that. It's not,
right.
It's like, oh no, oh, you come down and the reporter say, hey, you did that to this young kid. You think that's appropriate? You think that's mature? You think that's a hero? And the thing is, people say, oh, no, I'm sorry to heat the moment. To me, if you truly know who you are and you want to review yourself to the world, it is who you are. When your rider isn't taking the rein, that's what the elephant does. And that's who you are. A lot of times people kept the elephant in check. They have this rein on the elephant and they keep pulling it. And so, a lot of people say they go to a public event and they behave differently. They put on a show. And it's not like they're the only one. It's like 99% of the people in the world are putting on a show. Even you and I are on that trend. I mean, even you and I are still not completely out of our, encrusted shell of.
Oh no, I don't even think I'm close.
I'm trying to break loose of it, but I'm
30%. Like for sure.
I'm saying all this shit on this podcast, and I'm posting on YouTube, and I don't care if anybody look, but I'm not going to tell somebody straight to their face right now about, hey, this is what I think of you.
Candor is tomorrow, by the way. I just verified this. Like, tomorrow is radical candor. So we could talk about that topic tomorrow, which will be fun. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I do think.
But that's why I don't go out to the public too much and talk a lot, because to me, I probably talk to you in one day. I probably talk more in one hour than my whole entire month interacting with people outside. Because I'll probably give them a one-word answer, yes, no, or something along that line. And I mean, I don't talk too much because like I said, I have to put on this incredible, flavor of whatever people think I should be. I can't be myself, and to me, that's exhausting. What if you do? I do eventually, but the other thing is, I have been conditioned for so long. You have to imagine, like, probably over 40 years of training.
Right.
To be this, Parmesan cheese encrusted, person. And everybody say, hey, you're a Parmesan cheese kind of guy. Now it's like, hey, you smell like curry. What the fuck is going on?
That's hilarious.
And people are gonna get shocked, right?
No,
the thing is, it's not that. And at the moment, I don't really care about the shock itself, but about the repercussion of the shock, right? Because right now, if I were to review myself that I'm not this Parmesan encrusted, flavor, garlic flavor, and people can get shocked, and then the repercussion is they're gonna ask me why, and then they keep a conversation going, which make me have to continue to communicate and engage, and that's what I don't want. It's like, you can find out, but I don't want to have to answer you. Just think whatever you want, make assumptions. Like I say, for me, most of my life, if you make a wrong assumption about me, I would not correct you. Seriously, you can say whatever you want. It's not my job to correct you.
I mean, that's fair. That's not who I am, though. If somebody didn't understand what I was trying to say, I would just give them more context and more explanations until finally they'd be like, okay, Chris, I get it. Shut the fuck up.
I mean, if you ask, I'm willing to give you the answer, but I will not correct you. If you have a wrong assumption, it's on you.
Right.
Like I said, people make a lot of assumptions, right? It's not my job to correct everybody. And the thing is, if it's not what I want to do, I think it's gonna be so much work. It's like eating the frog every day for someone else's sake. It's like buying a Tesla, buying a car because someone else. You living for someone else. You're not living for yourself. And to me, eventually, you cannot continue to go on with that kind of facade.
It's funny. It's funny you're saying this because it just makes me think about work all the time whenever you're doing this, because it's like there's just so many aspects of this job that I do have full control over, of being my elephant, and being in that zone state. But then there's like, it's probably like 75-25, where like the 25% of stuff that I just have to do that I don't want to do. And like, I am the worst like employee ever when it comes to that 25%. Like, I was just trying to put Luca to bed earlier, or my wife was putting him to bed. I was trying to get him to clean up his mess in this office. We were up here playing around in the office, and he has like a little kitchen stand over here down there. He takes his little basket and all the little fruit things in there. He just starts chucking them all over the place and throwing them everywhere around my office, having fun, no big deal. Well, it was time to go to bed. And I was like, hey, it's time to clean up. And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, well, we ended up having this 20-minute long discussion of clean up and do this or not, or whatever. Help me. Don't you want to help your dad? Anyway, I'm sure you've been down this road a million times with your children. So as I'm trying to put him to sleep, oh my God, what were we just talking about right before this?
You mean?
Oh, being at work. It reminded me of like, this is how I must be. In that 25% of the work time that we were like, Chris, just do this. And I'm like, no. And they're like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't want to do it. And they're like, okay, man, chill out. I'm like, oh, I am chill. I'm not doing it. And then they're like, you got to do it. I'm like, fine, I'll fucking do it. Like, but I'm not happy. This is kind of how I am with the 25% of the time in my work where I don't want to do this stuff. I'm the worst. I'm like a 2-year-old child, where it's like, no.
What that's what I'm saying is that when you were born, right, you have a certain characteristic and traits that exudes who you really are. That is like nothing is impressive. That's who you are inside. It's on the outside. But the parents, the first enforcer to conform to the society. The parent, to me, is probably the most terrible boss.
They really are.
And you think, hey, I'm doing it for your own good. That's what we said before is, the devil doesn't know he's a devil.
That's so good, because you're so right. You just reminded me of, what was this book? Oh, the nurture assumption. The nurture assumption. That was what this book was called. Okay, so this book, this is what I thought, right? I said I'm nothing like my parents, right? This book is about the idea of the nurture assumption, meaning that we think as parents that everything that we do is actually going to hurt our children and fuck them up. This book was like, no, that's not how it works. They were like, your peer groups is really where you learn everything from. And I agree, like, because I'm nothing like my parents. It doesn't matter what they tried to do. Yes, early on, we had that first layer of Parmesan crusting or whatever, but really it's their peers that form who they are. It really is, without a doubt. I mean, you've probably seen this with your children, right? Do you think that you had any bearing on this stuff, or do you think it's their peers they hang out with every single day?
Because the parents is the one that put them on a certain path. Because I can condition my kids to be certain thing. The reason why I said that, because yes, in the American society, American culture, we raise kids different than the Japan culture. In Japan culture, you don't think anything for yourself. Right. Everything you do is for someone else, or for the society, or for the family.
Buildings.
But that's what I'm saying is they are conditioned to be different. Because if you let's say I move you to Japan, the peer group in Japan is different. So you're going to have to make the best of what you got there. So you're not going to be able to choose the best peer group just because, like, say, hey, this is who you are. But you think about in Japan, the culture is completely different. And if I were to be in a military family and I have to be stationed in Japan, and I move my family there, yes, my kids can choose the peers, but the peers is limited to what you can choose, right? And so that's what I'm saying is, in a way, your elephant has a certain range it can change, but it can't change that much. So like I said, the parents has the first influence on how you turn out.
You don't know how they are when they're with their friends.
Correct. But you can, because the thing is, most parents in America.
I'm different with my parents than I've always been.
No, I'm just saying is the way I see it, and the way I see it is because most kids in America, they don't stay with their parents that much. You see, look at early in the morning and after he goes home, a few hours a day.
Right.
He is going to be spending the majority of his time with his peers and with people that are strangers to you. Therefore, he's going to not be like you. That's the reason.
So this book, like, you should read this book, because like even kids that are with their parents all the time, and like, they studied.
No.
Like tribal,
it's not about what.
No,
it's not about what. No, the culture in Japan is that they force a kid. Like I say, you tell Luca to go to bed and you're not play on his kitchen anymore.
Right.
They discipline them different. The way that you enforces the rule creates a different kid. right? If you spend time, but you don't say, hey, do whatever you want, you let them have the freedom, then yes, they're going to gravitate toward what they need to be. But if I'm a fucking asshole of a parent, I beat my kid up, right? I drink all the time. I beat him up. Do you think he's not going to be influenced?
So there's another book that we did.
Something drama.
The drama of the gifted child is all about what you just talked about, of like parents.
Talk about because his parent, like Tiger Woods, Andre Agassi. I mean, the thing is, yes, his parent control him and make him play tennis.
Yeah,
so different. So I'm saying is depends on. So that's what I'm saying is, it all depends on the parent too. So I'm not saying it 100% is a parent. So if the parent is like, oh, I'm not going to enforce my will on you and let you be who you want to be, yeah, they're going to have less of an influence. But if I were an asshole, like I say, I'm an asshole and I wanted you to be next Tiger Woods or the next Michael Phelps, right? Go fucking swim, one more lap, blah, 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 blah. So if I do that, right, you think he's going to not be influenced? That's what I'm saying is, so back to what my original answer is yes and no, it has influence on you. So not just nature itself, not just the environment itself.
Todd Marinovich, you ever heard of this guy?
Nope.
He's a former quarterback, played at USC. He was drafted in the first round. He played for the Oakland Raiders. His dad, when he was growing up, Marv, saw this opportunity to use techniques focusing on speed and flexibility, and later formed the modern basis of modern core training. From the beginning, from his birth, Todd Marinovich's dad, Marv, he said, some guys think the most important thing in life is their jobs, stock market, whatever. To me, it was my kids. The question was, how could I develop a kid if you provided him with the perfect environment? He trained his son from birth to be a pro quarterback. And Todd Marinovich was like the perfect quarterback in high school and in college, and he ended up being drafted. And there's this 30 for 30 on ESPN about this guy. And then almost instantaneously, when he made it into the NFL and he no longer had his dad drilling into him every single day, but like this is from birth. Yes, he was like, fuck it, I'm finally free. He became the biggest drug addict bust ever. Like the guy just was like, he had a well-documented intense focus in his training as a youth athlete and a brief career in the pro leagues, but he cut short because he was.
And this comes back to the question again. You cannot continue
fell apart
to hold on this public facade about this perfect quarterback, the perfect career, this perfect life, right? It's like, I don't fucking want that.
It was the article that was like made him famous was Robo QB, the making of the perfect athlete. So Robo QB was his nickname, and you got to see this 30 for 30 if you've never seen it. He's like, it's fucked up. I mean, it is fucked up. Like, I mean, what his dad did to him, like in terms of like how badly this kid was just so. He didn't know who his own elephant was. He was just literally groomed. He eventually figured it out in the show on the 30 for 30. Like this is like when he's like 40 that he's on there, and I think he's been strung out, not strung out, like homeless, not homeless, whatever. Now he's like on a good path ish. He's been sober since 2016, and I don't know what he's doing. I think he's probably a football coach or something now. Playing for the SoCal Coyotes at 48 years old. Anyway, there's a million articles about this dude. Like, so if I don't know what he's doing today, but yeah, here's the Robo QB. The point is what I was sharing with you is it's both nature and nurture, but I think it's really your peer group and nature. I don't think parents, as long as they don't fuck you up.
It's the probability, because like I say, if I belong to Tiger Woods' dad, right, I'd be playing golf.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that's not actually true. I mean, like, yes and no, because Andre Agassi didn't choose tennis until Andre Agassi chose tennis.
But the thing is, that's why I was asking about Todd, because I'm asking him, what is he doing today? So is he doing today because of what he really found who he is?
Right.
And that's what he wants to do? Or is because this is just a residual of what made him who he was, and there's nothing else he can do? Just like you're talking about, like, Neil Armstrong, Bud Aldrin, or whatever. He comes back saying, well, what the fuck am I doing right now? I don't know what to do, right? And so not everybody gets to find who they were originally made for. Like when you were born, you're made for something. You were crusted so much that when the shell get open, you don't know who you are anymore.
Right.
I
don't know that you ever had a chance to even form who you
That's
were.
because the thing is, it fucked you up so much that you forgot who. It's like even for people who retire, like they work so long that when they retire, I say, hey, what do you like to do? I don't know. I've done some sales, so I'm familiar with sales. So I'll probably do something in sales.
I like golf, play golf once a week.
Because when you find your core values, that's who you are. You do that like every single chance you get. It's like, hey, Chris, I'm going to play tennis once in a while.
Right.
If you had the chance, you'd be out on the court every day.
I can't say if I could. That's a good, I don't know.
No. If you have a magic wand and you wave everything, there's nothing, no one's going to tell you anything. You don't have to worry about Lucas. You're going to have to about Felicia or anything. They are all with you without any conflict. You're going to be on the court 24/7, whether you be watching or sitting around talking to buddies or playing poker around the tennis center and then go play whenever your arms is, but you're there all the time.
Yeah.
Because, I have to pay for the mortgage. I have to go help Felicia with putting Luca to bed. I have to take Luca to soccer practice. I have to. So these are your duties,
urgent and important activities,
right? But if I will give you much one that everything is taken care of, somebody's taking care of it, and Felicia's and your Luca is all kind of like rooting for you to be there to live your life, and that's if I can make that happen, you'll be there all the time. And that's my point, is whenever you have something that you really want, you can be all the time, because that's who you want to be. Let's say if I had a bottomless stomach, right? I would be eating the cake all day. I mean,
if you're Joey Chestnut, you're going to literally eat 80 hot dogs or whatever the hell. It's like, how do you do that? And why do you want to go back?
For me, this is who I am. It's like,
right.
The thing is, my stomach won't let me, but my mouth likes to eat. I don't have that chemical that stops you from eating. I don't lose my appetite. That's why I have a problem with diabetes, because I don't have that turn off switch.
Right.
So the only turn off switch I have today is I have to portion my food. If not, I'll eat until my stomach gets,
And you're going to sound like you're like a dog, where they just eat until
my stomach is like, I can't move anymore. And that's when they say, hey, I can't eat anymore. I have to stop eating because my stomach hurts more than
a dog. A dog will literally go like, if you put a whole turkey in front of them, they'll eventually just be like, they'll walk around and like, because they're
right. Yeah. And that's if I have a bottomless stomach, I'll be eating nonstop.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that you are who you are, right? But if you say, well, I'm going to do some of these things, so you may have some overlap in some of those activities, but not the core of what you want to do. If you like something, you're going to probably do it every day.
For sure. I mean,
and that's what I'm saying. If you take so long,
without a doubt, man.
If you take so long to get out of that encrusted breaded flour crust, you may lose your identity, and you don't know what you want to do, because what do I do?
Right.
So you're going to have to do the self-exploration all over again. A lot of people, when they get to that age where when you are at a certain age, you just don't have the time, and you just don't find who you want to be, and you still be searching. And by the time you finish searching, your time on earth is expired.
That's really sad.
And that's why I was asking you, what is Todd doing today? Is he doing the thing he loves? That's what he does every day? Or he's like, I'm coaching. It's an escape. It's an escape.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why he started doing drumming.
Right. And so the thing is, when people were so much pressure when they were young, and then when they were finally free, they did the opposite. The opposite is like, hey, I'll do what the fuck I want, and I'm going to do drugs. I'm going to experiment with everything. And sometimes you went down the wrong path and you get stuck, right? So the opposite of what you had isn't the right way. It's not like a kind of environment where it has only two directions, left or right? When you're in the right direction. But in the wicked environment, you have multitudes of directions.
I remember why I even brought this up in the first place, and the whole Todd Marinovich. The reason why I was bringing this up in the first place is the lady said in this book, if there's one thing you can do good as a parent, it's something along the lines of, there's one thing you can do as a parent that will be good for your children. That I loved the idea of this is watch what they love to do, and then make sure they can do more of that. just observe what they like to do. Like Luca still picks up his pickleball paddle. He immediately comes in. He's like, pickleball, 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 pickleball. Like, let's play. Fine, I'll play with you. I just so happen to like it, can help teach him and whatever, but this is what he likes to do. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm not going to not do it. And then there was for 2 months, this started about 6-8 months ago. We were going strong for 4 months where he was obsessed. Anywhere he wanted to go, he wanted a pickleball in his hand and he wanted his little paddle. And then for like 2 months, it seemed like, he just started to go play with his sink, his little toy sink that he has, and he put, he's doing dishes and whatever, and the paddles just all sat lonely by themselves in the corner with all the bin full of pickleballs and whatever. And anytime I would say, hey, you want to play pickleball? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And then all of a sudden, like about a month ago, he was like, he's all into it all day long again now. And now he wants to play even more and more, and it's every day. It's, I want to go to the courts. I want to go to the courts. I want to go pickleball. And I'm like, okay, fine. But like, I'm not going to force him to do anything. Right. But one of the things that I loved about the Nurture Assumption book was she said, like, if you want to be a good parent, just watch your kids and see what they naturally like, and then encourage them to do more of that. That's it. Like, they don't know yet, like, but they're forming, for some reason, their elephant is drawing connections that is, they're red threads, that are pulling them when they're young. They don't have anything to be revealed yet, like they are.
Right. That's a review. That's why I'm saying when you're born, you will reveal, and then you will encrust it. And then that's why it's fitting to say, hey, when you slice open, it's like, well, meaning you are covered with something. Whatever we see on the outside isn't the same thing on the inside. But the reason why, like this book say, what will we reveal when you are sliced open, means that, hey, people are assuming that everyone has an outer covering, right? That has become the norm.
Right.
That's why people, can relate to it, because people know that, hey, I look like this, but inside I'm different. He looks like that, but inside he's different. And we know that, and that becomes the norm now.
Right.
That's what I'm saying is, when you were born, you don't have a covering. You're not bred. You completely bred it. As time go by, you start with your parents, and you have bred it by something. Hey, don't do that. Do this. You do whatever. And you go to school. Hey, don't do that. Do this. You go to work. Don't do that. Do this. Right.
Right.
And then on and on and on, right? So you cover and you get a cover and you get a cover and you get a cover. It's like there's so many layers of you,
right?
That is not you.
Yeah, and they don't even know.
In order for people to know who you really are inside, they have to slice you open, and hence the word. What will be revealed? It's like it's a mystery. What will be revealed when you're sliced open, right? And people understand what we're saying is what we reveal when you say. Everybody understands that. And that becomes a norm in the mind of everybody.
Yeah. All right. This is my final thought because I got to go to bed. It reminds me of, I wrote about this in the I Can't Imagine book. A good friend of ours, name's Brian. He's the husband of one of my fraternity brothers, who's a good friend of mine. His name's Mark. Brian was one of the people that came over to our house for the first time that we had friends over, about a month after Amelia had passed away. And we were just all kind of just getting together with our normal little dinner party crew that we've had always gotten together with. After Amelia had passed away, a couple of weeks later, obviously a bunch of people reach out all the time trying to support you and be there. And like Mark and Brian were very supportive and very nice, great people. I remember responding back to them with something along the lines of, yes, we lost Amelia, but I was incredibly grateful for the time that we had with her. And she's the most amazing person I've ever met in my life. I can't wait to do whatever I can to try to honor her, something along those lines, right? Brian, is a pretty emotional person. Sorry, that's not fair to say. I'm also an emotional person. Brian is a different person. He's a different person than I am, right? So he expresses his emotions differently. That is when I was being sliced open, how I was revealing that. I wasn't trying to. It wasn't a show,
right? Because it's not in your mind.
What's that?
Because it's not in your mind.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's
yeah, something much more significant and important to focus on. Everyone just does what it does. When you're on your deathbed, right? Your writer ain't holding the reins, so you're gonna do the thing that you are made to do. The same thing with you is when you're in that state of completely blank and confused. Your elephant is acting on its own. He's just walking the way that he thinks he knows how to walk. And this is truly who that person is in that state.
So I like the response that I sent back to them. Brian sent a response back that was, I think, his elephant coming out, which is great. And this is one of the reasons why I like Brian as a human being, because he was like, he challenged me and he was like, hey, just so you know, it's okay to feel like, You don't have to be the strong soldier or something like that. It's okay to, well, I forget exactly what he said. Something, it was something along the lines of like, it's okay to be sad because but to be fair, it was his elephant talking to my elephant. I think we were both saying things with love. I wasn't mad about it or anything. I'm not mad about it now. It was more of one of those comments that caught me off guard where I was like, man, that was I appreciate that Brian knows himself to be able to feel courageous enough to say that. I appreciate the challenge. One of my values that I found later on was I love a challenge and I love to be challenged. And I love to challenge the world around me. So if somebody wants to challenge me, then that's fine. I embrace that. The point of why I'm sharing this is each person handles things completely differently. And it's okay. There's no right way to do something. As a matter of fact, there's an infinite number of ways to do anything.
One way. But
for you.
That's what I'm saying is,
right.
I mean, I can't say what is right for me is going to be right for you, but it's only one way it's right for me is my way. My way for me, your way for you. To me, that's it. You don't bring that thing to another person and say, hey, do this and you're going to have the same result. It's not, because you're not the same. You're not, even twins don't have the same genes.
Right.
It's supposed to.
It's like that Love and Workbook, with his Audible or audiobook reading description and giving advice. For me, what I tell myself these days, because I try to make, when I play a serious competitive pickleball match or a tennis match, I try to tell myself 3 things to make it as simple as possible for my rider to get the fuck out of the way for my elephant. It is like in between each point, be aggressive, because this is what I like to be. I like to be aggressive. It's be aggressive. It's focus on the next point, forget all the other stuff, and have fun. These are the 3 things that I tell myself whenever I get stressed and I can feel the thoughts drifting to like, am I going to win? Am I going to lose? Am I pissed? Am I mad? I missed that shot. Fuck this shit. I'm mad about what? Like I go, before I play the next point, it's stay aggressive. It's have fun, and it's focus on the next point. Just that's it. Right. And this is what I tell myself. And my partner in my pickleball tournament, I came out and I told him this before our first match. This is what I tell myself. I think it fucked him up a little bit. I don't mean that I don't think that's not him. He needs to tell himself whatever the fuck he needs to tell himself. You're not me. I need to stay aggressive. You need to be who you need to be on the court, because that's why we're a partnership. I don't care if you're aggressive. I need to stay aggressive. If I'm not doing that, then I'm not being the person that I want to be, and I'm not going to play the way that you need me to play in order for us to have success. So I totally did this whole entire thing where, the whole, audiobook, explanation to my partner. And I'm just now realizing what I just said this just now. And it's like, God damn it, just stop giving people advice about how to be themselves. If they ask for how do I do something? That's one thing, right? If there's a kind environment where there is a clear way to be better in this kind environment, to do this technique over this technique, and you want to share that with somebody, that's fine. But everything else, fuck you. I got to figure that shit out myself. And that is all on me. That is my job, right? I have jobs and that is my job. So anyway, all right. That was my final thought. I got to go to bed. Any final thoughts?
That's it. You got to be who you are, to enjoy a joyful life, whatever that word is. Right? I mean, I cannot pretend to be somebody and hold my tongue in people's presence. It's just exhausting.
Exactly. It's exhausting trying to not be yourself. That's what it comes down to. Thanks for joining. The question we can leave for you all is what will be revealed in you when you're sliced open. Join us tomorrow for Radical Candor. It'll be a fun conversation about a topic that is near and dear to our hearts. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.
It should be exciting.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Okay. See you. Good night.